The wolf has been lurking. Ever since Bigby surprised everyone at the Game Awards in 2019, Telltale has been keeping quiet about the development of The Wolf Among Us 2. Well, I'm happy to say that ends today, right now. We're about to see more, learn more, and sink our fangs into what's next for Telltale. I'm Jeff Keighley, and before we get to everything else, and we've got a lot of information to share today, this is what you've been waiting for, the first official trailer for The Wolf Among Us 2.
You're listed here as a private investigator. What does that sort of work entail?
Depends on the night. Most nights, it's watching, waiting for a slip-up. I don't know, someone gets greedy, someone gets brave.
And that's what you were doing the night of the incident.
Yeah. Took me weeks to track them down. They hadn't cast so much as a shadow. Till that night.
You've been hesitant to share with us. I assume it has something to do with confidentiality associated with the job.
Something like that.
Your boss, Miss White, said things didn't go as planned. She mentioned that there was some violence? In the moments when you find yourself losing control. How does the anger manifest itself?
Wow, that was a lot to unpack happening in this new trailer. There's a whole bunch of new Fables we're seeing. Bigby's in, looks like anger management in a new setting, and this is all done in a whole new engine, Unreal Engine. I have so many questions here, as I'm sure you guys do, but I should probably back up for a second. 9 years ago, Telltale brought the Fables comics to life with the very first episode of The Wolf Among Us in October of 2013, nearly a decade ago. It captured gamers' imaginations that Fairytale fables are in fact real and living in New York City. Over 9 months, Bigby's story played out, winning the hearts of gamers with Telltale's signature narrative style in an amazing comic noir presentation. Then, unfortunately, came the bad news. While a sequel was announced, the original Telltale shut down in 2018. A little over a year later, at the Game Awards in December of 2019, it was official. Telltale was reborn, and with it, production of a brand new season of The Wolf Among Us 2 was about to start. After that brief teaser at the show, Telltale went to work on The Wolf Among Us 2, keeping relatively silent until now. To talk more about why and what's been happening in the background, we've got Telltale CEO Jamie Ottley and Nick Herman from Ad Hoc to answer some of the big questions that everyone's been asking. And now they can finally talk about it to tell us more about the why and what's been happening in the background. We've got Telltale CEO Jamie Ottley and Nick Herman from Ad Hoc, who are co-developing the game with Telltale. You guys were a lot of the folks that worked on the original Season 1 of The Wolf Among Us, and now for Season 2, everyone has so many questions based on this trailer. But before we get into the content, Jamie, let's talk about where are we right now?
Well, we're actually in the game right now. So this is a virtual set. This is Godmother's, which is a quintessential New York dive bar.
But now redone in beautiful Unreal Engine. One of the things that we're also excited about, especially seeing the trailer, it's like how faithful it is to the original Season 1, but enhanced graphics, but still an amazing story, which is why we're all here for Telltale. We love the story and the characters. So Nick, tell us a bit about the story. Like, what can you tell us about Season 2?
Well, as we saw in the trailer, Bigby's in anger management. He's kind of dealing with a lot of those issues still. And, Season 2 is still a prequel to the comics, but it takes place about 6 months after season 1 and kind of like the dead of winter. And people have seen his new look. He's got that coat to keep him warm.
Now, you mentioned 6 months between the end of season 1 and the start of season 2. Can you at least tell us a little bit of what these characters have been up to in the intervening 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, Bigby, as you saw, is now kind of in anger management, but kind of more importantly, he's been suspended from his role as sheriff and it's like protector of Fabletown.
Yeah.
And Snow White, at the end of season 1, Snow White has kind of found herself in this new role as deputy mayor because the sort of old administration is out, they were corrupt, and you kind of rooted that out. And she's got to fill those shoes now, and she's kind of got some big ideas on how that's going to happen, but it clashes with Bigby's way of doing things. He's not super personable, and kind of results to some tactics that are less than kosher. So there's a little bit of tension there, and now he's in a new situation where he's not in Fabletown, and he's kind of out there, and that leads him to meet this detective who is working on this case that kind of blurs the lines between the Fable and Mundy world.
Well, of course, everyone wants to know which characters, which fables are going to be represented in this game. We knew he would be back, but beyond that, what can you tell us about which characters are returning? You talked about Snow, obviously, there's certain characters that we would expect to be there, but can you confirm anyone that is going to be there, is not going to be there? Can you deny? Can you say who's not in the game?
We could probably talk a little bit about who else is going to be there.
Okay.
Obviously, as you said, Bigby and Snow will be back, reprising their roles. And then there's some fan favorites like Buffkin that'll be there, and then there's some new characters that we're introducing that you'll see in the trailer. Do you have any favorites from season 1?
I was going to say there's some tease of maybe some Oz-related things, right?
There are some Oz characters in the game. They're a big addition.
So if they're in the trailer, does that mean they might be in the game?
I think we can probably confirm that.
It's probably
Lock
confirmed.
'em
We
in.
probably just showed you that. So.
But that's part of what I think everyone's loved about this series is so many of the the classic fables represented. And for you guys looking at this, I mean, that's part of the fun of this, right? Is picking where the story is going to go. And what I love is that you're not just telling the comics again. So you have a lot of creative storytelling freedom to sort of come up with this, and that must be, part of the fun of this series, right? Is you can kind of pull from anything, right?
Yeah, and one of the best parts about Fables is how they sort of subvert your expectations of what these characters are actually like and what they would be like now, versus the old sort of Fables from over in Europe, and now it's modernized and they've changed. They're maybe they were that person, but now they're not. You can look at Bigby; he's a classic example. But yeah, and the other sort of big character that we're introducing is a detective, Faye Leung. She's a New York City police detective who's basically in the middle of a case that doesn't quite look right. And once Bigby gets his eyes on it, it's clear, something's leaking out into the city.
So Oz characters, we talked about that. They're going to be in there doing. I don't know how much you can say. Are we looking just at episode 1 here in this trailer, or is this kind of across the season, or what can you tell us?
The trailer's pretty focused on episode 1 to set up where we're going in this season.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, if they're in the beginning, you could probably expect to see them again a little bit later.
We would hope so.
I don't think we would introduce such cool characters and then
Not use them.
use them.
Never know what happens in episode 1, right? But it's everything can change. But no, that's part of the thing. I think is people know that you're doing it episodically, and everyone I think is also curious about what the cadence of this is going to be and how you guys are developing it. Telltale is known for incredible episodic games, and that's one thing, Jamie, we should talk about. This is the new Telltale, and you're using a new engine, which everyone's really excited about with Unreal. So is that probably the biggest shift is moving to new technology finally?
That's a big part of it. We've developed a lot of tools to enable content creation, kind of an iteration quickly around Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So it really lets us focus on what's unique to Telltale games, or in the case of Wolf, we needed a specific renderer to get the lighting and the look correct in Unreal. And then Unreal takes a lot of heavy lifting off of our shoulders, right? It just works. So we can focus on what we need to do to make the game work.
From a gameplay perspective, though, can you talk a little bit about the Telltale style? It's still the same gameplay style in terms of dialogue and choices and things like that. With Unreal, does it allow more kind of gameplay, for lack of a better term?
It definitely gives us more options, but I mean, people should, I think there's a delicate balance we're gonna have to walk of taking advantage of all this sort of new opportunity and space, but also,
not a third-person action game.
Yeah, we got to keep it sort of rooted in its foundation and what people loved about the first one. But there are definitely going to be some additions. There's going to be some, we took a look at everything and we kind of assessed whether or not it was intentional or if it was something that was just the way we had to make it, in prior games.
Well, and the thing that we all want is great stories and great voices, and we're really excited that two of the actors from the original series are back again as Bigby and Snow, and we're going to hear from them right now. As promised, we've got Bigby himself, Adam Harrington, and Snow White, voiced by Aaron Yvette, with us today. Adam, Aaron, first of all, welcome back to The Wolf Among Us. We've waited a decade for this. How does it feel for you guys to be sort of re-entering this world and bringing these characters to life again?
You know, to be honest, even though it has been nearly a decade, it doesn't feel like re-entering for me. And I imagine Aaron might feel the same. We became so close with these characters and spent so much time with them, not to mention all the other work we've done with Telltale, that it becomes more like family. The characters, the folks at Telltale we're working with. So it really is, it's like coming home. But that being said, even if there was still some problem and we're still trying to get it done, the fans are going to make sure that it gets done, or heads are going to roll.
Yes, very high expectations.
Yeah. I mean, like Adam said, it's like seeing your best friend after 9 years. You might have an awkward hug at the beginning, but you fall right back into that rhythm. I mean, it's in our hearts. And yeah, I'm a player and a fan of the series too, so I'm right with the fans. I am very excited for season 2 that I think we all deserve.
And your characters, I'm sure you were curious about where the writers were going to take them in season 2. We know that this is 6 months sort of after the end of season 1, so I don't know what you can say of what you've recorded or what you know, but can you give us a little bit on sort of, you know, where the characters are at?
Well, I can say you can expect some conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, the boss lady here, it turns out, has put our favorite sheriff on kind of a timeout. So the players will be able to expect to explore more about Bigby than maybe they were able to in the first season. And really let him sort of branch out into the bigger world, figure out what he thinks is right and wrong, what he thinks is good and bad.
Versus what Snow tells him is good and bad. Yeah.
Like I said, conflict.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a shift in the dynamic between the two of them. I mean, in season 1, Snow is just finding her footing at the business office, and together they uncover all this corruption, which Snow is driven to do something about, but doesn't quite know how. So in season 2, we see she's now deputy mayor. She's stepped up. She has power now, and I don't think she doesn't want to blow it. So she doesn't want to be seen as playing favorites, and that might add some tension to their relationship.
God forbid.
Well, I love that you guys are back right at it as you were in the season 1, and then all these new characters. I mean, we saw hints of Wizard of Oz and other characters coming into the mix. I think it's going to be fun for you to see. Do you have any sense of where they were going with season 2? Like when they first told you, you've known for a while, obviously it's coming back, but you've, like, all of us have waited a couple of years since that first tease in 2019. Do you have any sense of where this is going?
I mean, when we saw the teaser, we just knew, okay, so Snow
Work is coming back.
Yeah, this is actually happening.
Snow needs Bigby, and there's maybe some conflict between Bigby's natural tendencies, you know, how far he has to go to get things done versus what Snow thinks is allowed, and that maybe they're both going to have to test their limits here.
Yeah, definitely. Especially Bigby, apparently, because he definitely gets a slap.
Maybe he's
on
already
the paw.
tested the limits a little too far.
Gone a little too far. Exactly. But you guys are on talking terms, and you're in the middle of making this right now. I know you're busy recording, you know, putting together all these, you know, the amazing dialogue and all the fun stuff.
Thank God.
I know, but that's a great thing for fans today. It's like we saw the trailer, the game looks amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are in the studio now working on it, and 2023. We're going to get 5 new episodes.
Can't wait.
Amazing. All right. Well, thanks, guys, and we look forward
Thank
to
you.
Hearing you next year in The Wolf Among Us Season 2.
Yeah.
It will be worth the wait.
Yeah.
Mondays.
I can't wait for people to play it.
All right, I'm back here with Jamie and Nick. Guys, let's talk about the announcement of this. We did it together back at the Game Awards in 2019, which was a big moment, and it looked great. But I know at the time, you guys had really put that together. There wasn't a game at all, right? That was really just sort of like almost a teaser asset made specifically for the show, right?
It was. We were very much in pre-production. We were trying to stand the company back up, but we also wanted to let our fans know that we were back and that Wolf was coming. So we put that together specifically for the show as a teaser for it.
No, I know that's why people were like, "Oh, can't we see the game?" It's like I think that's all that exists there. But coming out of that. So what has happened in the past 2 years? I think fans, have nervously been hoping to, see more on it. And I know we've been talking over the years, and it's taken you guys a couple of years to get to this point. What has that journey been like?
Well, we had quite a bit of work to do to stand the company back up and just get the basic things back in place. But most of the time, the creative team's been in pre-production on Wolf Among Us 2.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of time, fortunately, on this to kind of really focus on the story and the creative and make sure that, we're set up for success here. And, I can't really overstate how important that was for this. I think, sort of Telltale Games Pass and Wolf 1 were kind of, laying the train track as the train's going. And now we're able to kind of look at the whole season and really be, do it justice and make sure that we're happy with what we have before we hit.
So you have the whole 5 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
How many episodes? Do we know how many episodes we get?
We get 5 episodes.
5 episodes.
Okay, I don't.
All right, cool. So you sort of thought through the arc of the 5.
Yeah,
and
how
you
it
know
honestly
that,
how it should be done. So, but we have everything figured out now, and now it's just about executing, and that's where we're at right now.
And we saw, in the trailer 2023. So you're calling the ball for next year, not this year with it. Where are you at right now in development?
Well, we're in production. We're actively doing motion capture shoots and putting together the game. And we haven't named a date in 2023 yet because we'll ship it when it's right instead of when we need to.
No, but it's nice that it feels like, you've got the stories outlined, as you said. Now it's really just sort of piecing that all together and figuring out the cadence. And has there been a lot of iteration or rewriting, or what's the process been like?
Yeah, a little bit, but really it's like because we've had the scripts for so long, we've been able to look at it. And our games, since they're so focused on the story and the characters, we're able to kind of play test it with a script. It's not like you necessarily need to have everything, in visual form, although that's obviously going to be another stage of this. But, we're happy with what we have. And we're now just at the point where we just got to make it, put it on the screen.
And being episodic, I know one of the things that I guess sometimes was an advantage back in the day was you could take feedback from people on one episode and inform the next one, right, or the story or whatever. You're still planning to do this as episodes, but more compressed, all together, right?
Yeah, we'll release episodically, but we'll be done with all the episodes before we release the first one. So there'll be a regular cadence. We're really after, giving the audience the water cooler moments where they can discuss what happened last week or the week prior and anticipate what's coming in the next episode.
Interesting. This is interesting when you say you're going to effectively have them all finished and then release them out there. So what does that mean, Nick, in terms of cadence? Is that sounds like you're talking about number of weeks, sort of streaming shows that they'll come out?
I think so, yeah. I don't know if we have it exactly nailed down just yet, but I think iteration was always key at Telltale to make these things work. So we're just taking that iteration and bringing it, internal instead of sort of blasting it out to everyone. We kind of sort of take that process and just put it in a space where we can, make sure the quality is reliable and we still get the feedback from our fans.
I love that, though, as a true season. As you said, water cooler-wise, hey, here's a couple months where we're going to get to play all this together as a community and enjoy it. One other thing we should talk about is last year at the Game Awards, we announced another Telltale project that you're working on, Expanse. And, sure some fans are is that going to impact, the development of Wolf Among Us? Can you maybe outline sort of that's a different team, right, that's working on that, but Telltale is still at the core of it. How are you managing the development of those two things?
So we really, when we wanted to restart Telltale, creative empowerment was central to what we wanted to have as a pillar for the company. And so Nick and the team at Ad Hoc are leading the creative efforts on Wolf Among Us 2, but we've partnered with Deck 9. We're all fans of the Life is Strange series. And so they're doing the Expanse game. So it's a separate team. It's really allowing a new creative voice to tell a Telltale story. Yeah, well, it's great that you have both these things, and I'm sure many other things kind of percolating around Telltale and bringing awesome stories to life. I mean, I grew up loving adventure games. That's really what got me into the industry, and the fact that you guys have carrying that torch forward for so many years, and now in this new world with all this amazing technology, and the trailer looks incredible. So we can't wait to play it next year, right?
Just a little bit longer.
All right. Well, thanks guys so much for giving us a first look at The Wolf Among Us. Season 2. We cannot wait to play this in 2023. Good luck in the final stretches of development here. Anything else to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah, two things really. One,
Okay.
we really wanted to say thank you to our fans and the community, and for the support that we've enjoyed in getting this far along. We can't wait to share Wolf Among Us Season 2 with you.
Yeah.
And then we have a piece of key art that we're going to drop that shows Big B maybe split between the two worlds that he has to live in, and you'll be able to find that on Telltale's social channels shortly after this.
All right. Well, we've got key art, we've got a trailer, we've got a date. Things are moving in the right direction for Wolf Among Us 2. And thank you guys. I know how hard it is still to make games, work from home, and with the pandemic and everything. So the fact that you guys have pulled this together, I know we're all just waiting with great anticipation for 2023 to play it. So thanks, guys. Awesome stuff. All right. Well, while we've been talking about the long-awaited sequel to The Wolf Among Us, the Fables comics it's based upon is also making a return. In case you missed it, Fables 151 continues the series this May, 20 years after the first issue hit stands. So be sure to keep an eye out for that as well. Thanks so much for joining us today to learn more about The Wolf Among Us 2. There is much more to be done before the game is ready to launch in 2023. I know that I'm looking forward to seeing more later this year. Once again, here's the first official trailer built entirely in-game, giving us our first takes of The Wolf Among Us Season 2.
You're listed here as a private investigator. What does that sort of work entail?
Depends on the night. Most nights it's watching, waiting for a slip-up. I don't know, someone gets greedy, someone gets brave.
And that's what you were doing the night of the incident.
Yeah. Took me weeks to track them down. They hadn't cast so much as a shadow. Till that night.
You've been hesitant to share with us. I assume it has something to do with confidentiality associated with the job.
Something like that.
Your boss, Miss White, said things didn't go as planned. She mentioned that there was some violence. In the moments when you find yourself losing control. How does the anger manifest itself?